But my wife really is a great cook. She really is, to be honest with you. And she asked me to help her cook. I help her cook. Well, actually, she asked me to open jars for her. Apparently, that uses an entirely different set of muscles than the ones used for slamming doors. And that's the only thing that bothers me about her. You know, she gets jealous and paranoid. You know, she gets upset a little bit. Sometimes she'll call me on my cell phone and she'll be like, "Where are you?" And I'll say, "Well, I'm at work." And then she'll be like, "What are you doing?" And you know, I'm working. And she's like, "Well, what do you want for dinner?" And I said, "Well, you know, I just had lunch, honey. I'm not really thinking of food or anything." And she's like, "Well, when do you think you'll be home?" And I'm like, "I don't know, honey. I don't know." It's like she's trying to keep me on the line long enough for the police to trace the call. And I don't know why she's so paranoid. And you know, she's really paranoid and jealous around that time of the month. She always seems to know where I am and what I'm doing. It's like she's got PMS GPS. Anyway, so I've talked to her about it. I said, "Honey, I don't know why you get jealous all the time, why you're so paranoid. I love you. There's no reason for you to be jealous or paranoid. It really bothers me." I'm just glad my girlfriend's not like that. My wife is very hardworking. You know, with 5 kids, she's always running around. I mean, they drive her crazy. And by the end of the day, she's just exhausted. And in fact, when she's telling me about her day when I get home, she's always yawning because it's just reliving it, recreating it is tiring for her. You know, some people, when they see other people yawn, it makes them yawn. But not me. When I see someone yawn, it just reminds me of how long it's been since I've had a blowjob. Trying to be honest, you know. So my wife does run around with the kids all the time. You know, she's the proverbial soccer mom. She's taking the kids to all these different events and everything. So I bought her a new car with a top-of-the-line navigation. Okay, it's culturally correct, and what it does is it detects the culture of the area you're driving in, and it adjusts the navigation accordingly. So, for instance, she was driving in San Diego through Little Italy, and she had missed a turn. And the navigation said, "Forget about it, just make it a U-turn." Then she was driving through a Hispanic neighborhood, and she came to a stop sign, and the navigation said, "Señorita, I would make a left if I were you." Then she was driving through a predominantly black neighborhood, and the navigation said, "Turn right, bitch!" So she likes it. But my wife gets me into some embarrassing situations sometimes, even though she doesn't mean to. You know, the other day I went to the store to pick up some bagels for breakfast, and I said, "Do you need anything?" And she said, "Yeah, can you pick up the latest issue of Cosmo for me?" So I said I would. And while I was there at the store getting the bagels, she called me. She said, "The baby woke up with a diaper rash, and I can't find the Vaseline. Could you get some Vaseline?" Uh-oh. So of course I said I would, because I'm a good husband. So I finish getting my bagels, and I get the Vaseline, and I go to the checkout stand, and I see the magazine rack, and I see the issue of Cosmo, and I drop it down, and I suddenly see the cover story says, "Spice up your sex life, have erotic sex with food." And I realized that the combination of the article and the bagels and the Vaseline, it looks a little odd. But I figured the old lady at the register, she's not going to pick up on it. So I pay for my items, and the little teenage girl bags it, and I take my bag, and as I'm walking away, I hear her turn to the cashier and say, "What a sicko." Kids are too smart these days. But so I can't go back there anymore. My wife and I are oenophilists. Do you know what that is? Oenophilists? That's a fancy word for lovers of wine. And we love to drink wine, but some of the fine wines are really expensive, as you know. Fortunately, I have a friend who's a raging alcoholic. He just got out of prison, went through a really nasty divorce, But he knows where all the good deals on wine are, and he's got some really good points of contact. I really envy that guy. A lot of people envy me because my wife is so beautiful. She looks like that actress that plays Monica on Friends. What is that actress's name? Yeah, speaking of cocks, how many people think there's too many Viagra and Levitra commercials on TV? Right? They just keep pounding us with these, just thrusting these commercials into us. It's like a flood of these commercials, isn't it? It's like Viagra Falls. And these commercials can be pretty awkward depending on who you're watching TV with. I was watching television with my youngest son, and one of these commercials comes on, and he turns to me and he says, "Dad, what's an erection?" So I told him the truth. I said, "Son, an erection is a political contest in Japan." So, and these commercials can be a little intimidating too. I'm watching TV with my wife, and the announcer says, "If you experience an erection that lasts more than 4 hours, call your doctor immediately." Yeah, right. My wife's not going to let me call a doctor. She'd pull out a gun and say, "Now you put that phone down and get back into bed." A 4-hour erection. How could you get anything done? My brother-in-law used to work for a company that sold male enhancement products, and he really enjoyed it. He said it was a time in his life he was able to straighten a lot of things out. Good for him. But he ended up having to leave the company because of a lawsuit that alleged that the male enhancement products didn't work as well as advertised. But from what I heard, the lawsuit was thrown out allegedly due to a hung jury. Great. So anyway, he's going through a tough time right now. He just went through a divorce. Midlife crisis is what I call it. Went through a divorce. He jumped out of an airplane. He went bungee jumping. He bought a new sports car. And I said to my wife, I don't get this. I don't know why when people go through a midlife crisis, they make these dramatic changes in their life, and it just doesn't make any sense to me. I can't accept that. And she looked at me and she said, I was thinking about getting a boob job. And I said, didn't you hear me? I said, guys, when guys do it, it's absolutely ridiculous. Girls should do whatever they want. You should get a boob job. I mean, you don't need one, but if you want one, it's cool with me. Also, if you do, yeah. She said to me, well, if I get a boob job, I'd be getting it for you. I said, well, if that's the case, I want you to get one big black boob and one small oriental boob, and then whatever mood I'm in that night, we'll be all set. All right. Some of you guys are writing that down for some reason. Oh, that's a good idea. But anyway, a buddy of mine went to the doctor the other day, and the doctor recommended that he take Viagra, and he said it'll make you feel like you're 17 again. And it's true. Now he has acne. We know who's met the 2-drink minimum over here, right? Pretty obvious. But yeah, so he's back in the dating game now that his life is a little more firm, and he joined one of these online dating services, because it's tough to meet people now. So he joined this online dating service. It's called ehornyme.com. It's working out for him too. And I think it's great that everybody wants to enhance their performance. I mean, that's like the American way. But I think we're a little bit too obsessed with enlarging our penis. At least the guys, anyway. I mean, we've got pumps and gels and pills, and I can tell you none of that stuff works. So I've heard. Now, in these tough economic times, there's a pharmacy in Mexico that's selling discount penis enlargement pills. For $5, you can get a jar guaranteed to enlarge your penis. Now, I don't know if they work yet. But the people at Subway are upset because they're using the same marketing slogan, the $5 footlong. Yeah, you won't watch that commercial the same again. I told that joke to a woman I work with who takes everything literally. And she said, well, that can't be true. You have 5 kids. And I'm like, what? Wait a minute. You think that the amount of kids that a guy has is directly related to the size of his anatomy? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, that's absolutely true. You're a very smart lady. And I have 5 kids that I know of, so I have to see. But anyway, yeah, so it's pretty interesting. You know, I was looking at, we just had an opportunity to go shopping. We're starting to do Christmas shopping. Everybody ready for Christmas shopping? No? Boy, they're just announcing, they had a Christmas tree lighting the day after Veterans Day on the 12th. They're trying to get you to shop a little bit earlier now. You know, I had, last year, my kids were bugging me to get them a dog. And, you know, I was thinking, you know, I'm not going to get them a dog until they show that they're responsible enough. And they actually, you know, I remember being a kid, you know, loving Christmas, but there was one thing that really bothered me about Christmas was going over to my uncle's house. He was a little strange. And, you know, after we were done eating, he would always ask us to break into teams of shirts and skins. He was very competitive, but that was to play Monopoly. It was a little creepy. But Monopoly's been around for a while, hasn't it? I think they need to make it a little bit more current. You know, like when you go to jail, maybe you have to deal with a 3 strikes law, or you know, you get released early, you know, due to overcrowding. Or how about when you pass go to collect 200, due to identity theft, you find out one of the other players has your money. That'd be kind of neat. Now, I didn't buy my kids anything crazy like that last Christmas. They did buy me something pretty unusual. They bought me this coffee mug in the shape of a toilet. It had the seat and the tank, the whole deal. First time I drank coffee out of it, I was kind of grossed out. So I don't use it for coffee anymore. I use it for chili. So my kids were bugging me for Christmas, and even this Christmas, saying that they want a dog, right? But how many people are bothered by a neighborhood dog? You got a neighborhood dog that's always barking? Anybody? Yeah, one person? Yeah. People don't know how to control their animals. You'll be relieved to hear that California has passed a new law that if you have a barking dog in the neighborhood, you can call animal control and they'll come out and cite the owner. And if the dog continues to annoy you, keeps on barking, won't shut up, keeps nagging you, you can call them and they'll come and take the dog away for good. Now, if only they had that policy for spouses. But people are irresponsible with their dogs, right? You see lost dog in the paper, lost dog. People are just irresponsible with them. The other day I saw an ad in the paper. It said somebody had lost a large turtle. Now, I'm not the fastest guy in the world, but I'm pretty sure I could capture an escaping turtle. So my kids have been bugging me about getting them a dog, especially lately since our neighbors just got a dog. And I want to make sure that they're responsible enough to handle a dog. You know, so I've had the neighbor's dog come over. They've walked the dog, they've fed the dog, they've given the dog a bath. But this dog keeps eating all their toys. And it seems to have an affinity for Barbie dolls. Every time I see this dog, it's eating a Barbie. The neighbors had to take the dog to the vet the other day because he wasn't feeling well. Turns out he had a yeast infection. So I finally broke down. I decided to get my kids a dog. I just wanted to find the right dog. So I went down to the shelter and I found this cute little guy. He's a mixed breed. And but ever since I brought him home, they're still bugging me. They're saying, Daddy, what kind of dog is that, Daddy? What is it anyway? And I said, I don't know, he's a mutt. Just play with him. Well, my eldest son, Michael, came to me the other day. He said, Dad, I saw on the news that they're doing DNA testing on dogs now. Breed testing is what they call it. They can tell you what breeds it is and what percentage of each breed. So I thought, great. So I brought the dog into the vet and I paid $100 to get his DNA tested, only to find out he's wanted for 2 murders in Ohio. Well, that's it for me, folks. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you.